Hello, everybody. So, welcome back. Hope you had been enjoying our day, our events, and the day had been fulfilling for you. We had started our day at 10:30 in the morning. We had our keynote speakers, fireside chat. Then we had the workshop, and now we are in evening. And this session is gonna be equally engaging and interesting. Uh, we have with us somebody who's an educator who engages the audience in a very interactive way, and he will be presenting and talking about how to develop soft skills, particularly if you are a student, particularly if you are somebody who are trying to get into corporates, into the professional arena. What are the soft skills that are needed, and what are the soft skills you have it but you don't realize that you have to use it all the time. This would be pretty much a fun based session. When I say fun based session, it's more like you will get an opportunity to introspect, think about it, talk about it. I'm pretty much hopeful that you will find the session very useful. We have with us David Mendoza, who is an educator. He is working as a faculty at Georgetown College, and he has mentored and guided numerous number of students, particularly when it comes to international students who are full with challenges. Um, he has guided them in a way that they feel comfortable, and I pretty much believe that his insights, the thoughts he has, will help all of us, to get a better understanding of how to place ourselves in the market, particularly North American market. So yes, can we have David on screen now? Welcome, David. Thank you for being part of this Google DevFest. I'm humbled to have you here. I have heard you at many of your sessions. I have watched it myself and really like the way you interact, and the wit you have, the element of wit that you include in your segment is something. I can spend hours listening to you personally, if I say that way. And yeah, so David, before we start with the session,
Yeah.
just a couple of questions I had, and probably it will set a context to our audience as well.
Mhm.
Since when you realize that international students particularly have those challenges
Mm.
and something needs to be done, I really see it amazing that
Yeah.
somebody from this aspect is focused on the pain area.
Mhm.
So how did you all started?
Thank you very much, Vilma, for having me here in a DevFest. I'm so excited to be here. It's an honor for me to be having this conversation with you guys. As you mentioned, my focus is working with international students. Why is the work that I'm doing, especially during the pandemic? I was an international student myself. Years ago, I had the chance to go to the UK to improve my English. When I was living in Colombia, I was taking a business degree program there. So halfway through, I had the chance to go to the UK as an international student to improve my English, to enhance my communication abilities in a second language. I'm originally from Colombia in South America. And it
Okay.
was a life-changing experience. It was life-changing, yeah. I grew a lot. You grew a lot of confidence. It was the first time for me to being exposed to other cultures, to see different perspectives, to open my mind to other realities, all the other social dynamics. So it was a very massive learning experience in my life. Yeah. So it always stayed in the back of my head. So when I came here to Canada to live 14 years ago, I focused my work on international students. Why? Because I've pretty much since the beginning, I've been working in the post-secondary sector in Ontario. Um, and so I have had exposure to work with international students a lot, and when the experience that I see that they go through is not the same that I had, because I find that they're playing too safe. Yeah,
Hmm.
they are
Yeah.
not pushing their limits to go beyond their comfort zone. So when I
Hmm.
go into a classroom, for example, with international students, and I experienced this at a career internship class that I was teaching at the chef school at George Brown a few years ago, massive class, 50 students. Yeah, but you could see the clusters, the Koreans with the Koreans, the Vietnamese with the Vietnamese, the Brazilians with the Brazilians, the Colombian with the Colombian, and the Indians with the Indians, and the Canadians with the Canadians. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was that lack of integration. It was like that lack of, hey, let's see what's out there. It's just like the student is changing geographic locations only, yeah, and
Mhm.
that's it. But they're speaking in in their native languages, etc. So they're not making the most of the experience. So that's the first problem that I saw. They're not getting the opportunities that they deserve and will
Mhm.
do justice to all the investments that they made, the money
Mhm.
they paid, and the background that they have from your home countries, because it's incredible. Yeah,
Mhm.
but you're not doing justice just because you're playing too safe, and
Yeah.
you're not acting also culturally. It's not only about becoming fluent, but also cultural. Okay, so that was a big motivation for me to change that reality of international students and push them to grow their networks, because that's what we need, especially talking about transferable skills. That is the topic that we will be covering today. You know,
Mhm.
so it starts from there, right? From having those interactions. So that's the problem that I saw. Now, with the pandemic, it's other problems that international students face. The entire population of students, but especially the struggle of the international student is different because they live a different reality.
Mhm.
If a domestic student, for example, say, imagine someone who goes to Waterloo, but they're from Toronto, yeah.
Mhm.
If they feel bad, they can call their parents, and their parents are gonna, go pick them up, and they'll go home and resume with their
Mhm.
activities like nothing happened. But
Yeah.
imagine like you, for example, Vinmal, that you are having a few years here in the country. But imagine you have a cousin or something that comes here first time in their lives, leaving their home country, 19, 20 years old, right?
Mhm.
They don't know much. So they come, so they start facing the initial challenges of the
Mhm.
adaptation to a new culture. Beautiful experience, right? At
Mhm.
first, the honeymoon, etc. Everything is new, new cultures,
Yeah.
etc. Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
Then, so you start facing the social dynamics and
Mhm.
understanding them and adapting to that. Adaptation is
Mhm.
one of the transferable skills that everybody needs to have. Everybody who is in this chat, they need to
Mhm.
think about how they can articulate thoughts and ideas when they talk to an employer, to tell them how they have adapted, how they have
Correct.
used that skill, because it's very important for you to transfer it. Yeah.
Mhm.
So then I started seeing those challenges. So the international student from India cannot call their parents, "Mom, Dad, I feel really bad today. I feel depressed." Your mom cannot pick you up. Yeah,
Yeah.
they are, they have their families in their home countries. They are, worried here because they're thinking about their parents, their families. Hey, what if they can get COVID? I'm not there. And here I'm also, what if I get COVID? Here they're not here. You start adapting. They tell you you cannot go out anymore. You cannot see your friends. Your
Mhm.
friends are your family when you move to another country, and you
Yeah.
cannot see your friends anymore. So that can impact your mental health. So I wanted to have this conversation with students to help them navigate the challenges that come with COVID-19. And that is the work that we have been doing with Orbit 5 throughout the pandemic. We started as a local initiative for students who were in
Mhm.
Toronto, upgrading their skills through higher education. But since the pandemic, I opened my platform to offer support to students wherever they were. So we have
Mhm.
been able to build a global community through the pandemic, from students who are here in Canada, students based in the United States, a few students in India, in Colombia, in
Yeah.
Brazil, Australia, and New Zealand. So it's been a beautiful movement because it's a community of support. Yeah, you need a strong support network around you to navigate with these
Mhm.
challenges, because if you have that community of support, you will have peace of mind, your mental health will be on point, and you can
Mhm.
focus on strategies for you to pursue the career path that you want to pursue strategically.
Absolutely.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Yeah. So that's how it
Absolutely.
started. That's how it started the Orbit 5. So we do weekly webinars. Every Monday we do a webinar where I bring a
Mhm.
guest speaker who talk about a different topic. Yeah. See, imagine a conversation like the conversation we're having today. So I had someone who came talk about job search during a pandemic. I had
Mhm.
someone who talk about how to enhance your communication abilities, how to write and speak more confidently. I had a
Yeah.
mental health advocate. We talk about mental health and how international
Mhm.
students can strive for it, and make it their priority. I brought a
Mhm.
public speaking coach, to give them
Mhm.
tips, and that I brought a few recruiters who have show them what is the best way to appear on more recruiter searches, etc. Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's what we've been doing with the community, to give them support and to empower them to go out there and
Yeah.
put and execute the strategies and to build
Mhm.
a network, because all the great opportunities happen through the human connection. So to build a network in the pursuit of opportunities. So that's the work that
Mhm.
we've been doing.
Yeah. So, and I guess, of course, the challenges are inevitable for anybody who is coming all the
Hmm.
way from different parts of the world.
Yeah.
And what, again, my understanding is, and you can enlighten me further, like what's your thoughts about it, is um, whenever somebody is coming, almost everyone who is coming have a set of challenges.
Hmm.
A good percentage of those challenges are common among themselves.
Hmm.
Within 3 months' time, 6 months' time, or so for some folks in 1 year time, they will know how to deal with the challenges,
Hmm.
but they don't know how to deal with those challenges on the day one, day two, and day three.
Hmm.
If
Hmm.
there is somebody to tell them, okay, these are the challenges, we know you have came here all the way, and these are the challenges you are going to face, and these are the solution that has worked for me.
Hmm.
Or even if I tell the story of myself that, okay, when I came, these all things happened, I sold it this way, this worked, this did not work. I believe a larger chunk of those challenges can be solved. Now,
Hmm.
question is, if what I'm saying is true, and you align with it, what should be the process where it has to start? Like, you already have taken that initiative. That's a huge social responsibility, I will say, because it involves pretty much emotional stake of those international students. Many of them have came away from their home for the first time. They deal
Hmm.
with homesickness and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And
Yeah.
when you are talking to those students, you also have to take care of their emotional quotient. It's not only about the logical answer to their question, it's
Hmm.
also about how they do they perceive a certain situation, right?
Yeah.
So how do you see this? Like, can there be a structured effort for that, or it will just go on a ad hoc basis as an unstructured thing, like case to case basis? How do you see this?
Could you repeat the last part of the question, please?
So, like when we have these many students with various
Yeah.
problems, and some of them are common,
Yeah.
some of them are
Yeah.
not,
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
you think there can be a structured approach from our end in order to help them, to facilitate them to overcome those problems? Or do we have to take them on the case to case basis on an
Hmm.
individual note? Okay, tell me what your problem is. I tell you the
Right.
solution.
I
Or can
hear
we
you.
have a common, activity which will help almost all of
Yeah.
them?
It could be both. It could be with both things, Vimal, because it could be one-on-one conversation, and also it could be integration with the community as well, and have share those thoughts, and as a collective, share with each other what the challenges are, tell them how they have overcome them, right, and inspire the other person next to you, or who is now in a group next to you, to see how you have overcome your challenges, and see if some of that will work for you, or just to share, right? So,
Okay.
so we could do it collectively, but we could do also one-on-one as well. So it depends. I think every person, Vimal, is a different universe, right?
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
so we will have to see what is it that the student is works for the student, works best for the students. That's why, for example, we do the work with Orbit 5. We do in different ways. We do the webinars where we bring a collective, yeah, we'll
Mhm.
share ideas and people ask questions, etc. And then students who decide to have a one-on-one conversation to see how they can overcome these challenges, to see
Mhm.
to hear another perspective that tells them, how they can start walking the path they want to walk. It could be the same as well. However, whatever the case is, the most important thing is the person needs, has a very deep conversation with themselves, an honest conversation with themselves
Yeah.
about their current reality, their why are they here, why did they come to Canada, why did you go to the United States, why are you changing careers, why are you making this pivot, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
All that, so that you gain the clarity that you need to again come to terms with yourself, with
Mhm.
your abilities, identifying your top best elements, yeah, that you can
Yeah.
easily transfer over through a conversation of someone who is sitting down with you, and to find out if you are a good fit for their projects or not. And by having a
Absolutely.
conversation, you also find if they are a good fit for you or not, right? So it's a two-street way. So it's the
Mhm.
clarity, that they need to have. So they need to have an honest conversation with themselves. And once they have more clarity about what are the things that they want to do, people in general, it doesn't have to be only students, whoever, for example, is in this audience right now, maybe they're not students, but they're maybe doing a career change. Yeah.
Mhm.
They need to
Mhm.
have that clarity so that they can then start building a strategy around that to pursue and materialize their work prospects and all their endeavors, right?
Absolutely. Uh, Now, thank you for giving that context around the basic root cause or the basic region
Mhm.
which started the activity that you are involved in. Now, coming back to the original topic that we have, like the soft skills for professionals, students,
Mhm.
young professional probably who have completed the school and are willing to go. Um, Now, there can be a number of things in the list. How do you prioritize that, and what is the initial approach that you propose at part of your orbit 5 as
Mhm.
an establishment?
That's a very good question. That's an excellent question, Vino, because you're asking how do you prioritize the skills that you need to showcase when
Mhm.
you have a conversation with someone that can expedite your work prospects, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. So give me 1 second, please. Just lost my train of thought. Oh, how you prioritize, how to
Mhm.
prioritize. So you
Yeah.
have two things that you can do. You can have, for example, if you want to have an understanding of what those jobs that you want to look like, then go to a job board and look at different job postings with the title that you're looking for, right?
Mhm.
Full stack developer, business analyst, whatever the
Mhm.
case may be. Yeah. So you have a look at those and identify what are the patterns. What patterns do you see in the different postings of skills that the industry is telling you you need to have them? So you need to talk about them or improve them maybe when we have this conversation. So it could be like that. Amazing. So it's good because you start doing some research on your own and finding out information for yourself. Arming yourself with knowledge. Then you start connecting with people in those industries, right? That are doing the jobs that you are want to do, or who have done those jobs, and you connect and you ask them more questions about that. So by landing an informational interview, yeah, in an informational interview, you are not looking for a job. You are looking to
Mhm.
get insight from someone who is doing something that you want to do, or that can help you get your foot in the door in a place or something.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
interesting, because people usually they care too much about connecting with recruiters, yeah, which is good, yeah, because the recruiter can expedite the process of getting the resume somewhere, yeah.
Mhm.
But the recruiter is not the person who is doing the job that you want to do, yeah,
Yeah.
and they get bombarded with messages on a daily basis,
Mhm.
yeah. Whereas maybe the person who is doing that business analysis job that you want to apply, that you are dreaming of, right? They don't get as many messages, so it's easier to connect with them. And you just ask them a question about their journey. By asking them those questions, because you already armed yourself with knowledge, you will know what to talk about. You will know what questions will be valuable for you, so that you start
Mhm.
identifying, okay, so based on my research, yeah, I know that the industry is asking for these skills, and I do have this, and I need to develop this further.
This. Yeah.
Now, with the conversation with the person, you're going to validate some of that information, but the person can give you something else. The person can tell you, for example, for this company, say the other day I was speaking with a friend of mine who is interested in the tourism industry, and he has found that for the most part, he needs to know a system they're using hospital called Amadeus, right?
Mhm.
So that person can tell you from that specific industry, you need to know Amadeus. And you're like, oh, okay, in my research, I saw other skills. I didn't see Amadeus.
Mhm.
So it's
Mhm.
great that this guy told me, so that now, for example, if you are a student in post-secondary here in North America, most likely you will have free access. Not free access because you're paying you for your tuition, but you have
Mhm.
access to LinkedIn Learning. You
Yeah.
just type in and there's an Amadeus course, yeah? And
Mhm.
then you train yourself in Amadeus, get the
Mhm.
basics, man, get the basics, yeah?
Yeah.
And then you follow up with that person you had an informational interview. Hey,
Mhm.
Vimal, you know what? Thank you so much for the time that you gave me the other day to give me insights from the industry, etc. I
Mhm.
took your word, I listened to your word, and I started learning Amadeus myself. I feel like this. So the person will say, oh, great, because this person is taking initiative. He's
Yeah.
listening to the advice that I'm giving, and you can build up a mentorship like that.
Mhm.
Especially for
Yeah.
students who are always worried, oh, how can I find a mentor? How can I find a mentor? Like that, by building a relationship without asking, can you be my mentor? No, it's like
Mhm.
that's a very, it's like people don't want to be asked that. But you
Mhm.
build a mentorship relationship just by that, by connecting with people, by asking a question, yeah,
Yeah.
by following up on what they say. And the person will say, perfect, okay, also, Vilma, you should go and talk to this person here as well, right?
Yeah.
Or you should
Absolutely.
do this. And then that's how you start, again, identifying what is it that I need to be competitive,
Mhm.
then what is it that I need to strengthen to
Mhm.
stand out from being competitive and go take that up a notch.
Yeah.
And that's those two things I recommend that people do.
And I guess those things, if even if people take on words and they can just implement those two, is gonna bring a huge difference in their approach, in their job
Yeah.
hunting, in their yeah, I mean, and I picked up your word, like you don't have to say that be my mentor. Ask
Hmm.
a question, the person will answer it automatically. He's a mentor, right?
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah, so why you have to label somebody as a mentor to make somebody a mentor? It's
Exactly.
not
I
needed.
love that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So want a guidance? Can you
yeah,
call them? Listen to the solution, and
yeah,
that is how it's the organic relationship that gets
yeah.
built up. Uh,
I
yes,
love what you said there about labels. Exactly.
yeah,
Why would you want to put the relationship a label? No, it's just someone who is guiding it, and then you are adding value to that person as well. So this is
yeah.
when it becomes interesting, Vimal. Yeah, because okay, so
Mhm,
you get your imagine like I'm an international student. I reached out to you. You told me about
mhm.
Amadeus. I wrote Amadeus, and then we start having a conversation. Yeah. Now
Yeah.
you're my mentor. Yeah, but how can I add value to you? And that's that question that students ask themselves a lot. I don't know. I don't have anything to offer. I don't have many years of experience. So why can I add value?
Yeah.
By add value by starting understanding the other person from a human perspective. Who are they?
Absolutely.
What do they like about outside the world of work? Yeah. So for example, if during our conversations you tell me, Vimal, that you are into aviation, yeah,
Mhm,
then I will do some research and find some nice articles in aviation, a
mhm,
documentary, something, and I would tell you, hey, Vimal, I read about this article in the aviation industry and the projection, blah blah blah. This is my takeaway, and I think you're gonna find it interesting. You're
yeah.
gonna go like, oh my god, like thank you, like you're giving value to that person, right?
Mhm,
And it's outside of the scope of work. It doesn't have to be necessarily always job, 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 job. Remember that we're humans.
yeah.
Before we're employees, before we are educators, before we are full stack developers, before we are business analysts, before we're chefs, we're
Mhm,
humans, right? So it's how again you play that game of building the relationship with people, and they
mhm.
will vouch for you. You want people who can vouch out for you. Yeah. Now,
Absolutely.
people you need to really think about how to grow your network and how you can have insiders in the companies of your interest that can vouch for you. That's what you
Mhm,
need. So it takes time. Yeah. So what people usually do is they send resumes online, 200 resumes a month. How many calls for interviews they get? Maybe one. So it's
mhm.
not effective at all. So instead of doing that, I would not without like eliminating the only website application. No, you don't have to do that, but you have to play better with your strategy. Allocate maybe
Okay.
an hour a day to that, 2 hours, and then to make connections. Yeah. So you have to target your companies. Think
Yeah.
about again the companies that you see yourself. This is not
Mhm,
a time, Vilma, COVID-19 is this is we are not in a time to just like take any job because for whatever
mhm.
reason. No, because we are already dealing with something very hard. Yeah,
Very high.
our
Yeah.
we are very all of us are very prone to have a mental health challenge because we are in a very difficult situation now. We in Toronto, in Ontario, we are into second lockdown again, and that's gonna
Absolutely.
that's gonna impact people, right? So
Yeah.
you can afford applying for jobs that are gonna make you miserable. Because imagine if you find a job that you don't like, it is not aligned with your vision, you hate it.
Mhm,
Also, and on top of that, you have to deal with the challenge that COVID brings to our life now. So you have to be very strategic. You have to really think about what is it that what you want to do, and then start connecting with people who can vouch for you. So you look for 10 places, you do your research. What would be 10 companies that I see myself working at? What do I like about those companies? Yeah. What can I learn in those companies? What problems do I want to solve in those companies? No matter what your field is. I know
mhm.
that this in the audience for this festival is very tech oriented, but this
Mhm.
this applies for everyone. What kind of problems do you
Yeah.
want to solve in your field?
And we
Yeah.
are getting questions also right
Oh,
now from
perfect.
our
Okay.
audience. And
Good.
one of the question is, uh, yeah. So You are speaking to a lot of international students, and
Yeah.
you yourself have been you have been in touch with that. You have tried to understand from the perspective um, what they're good at, what they're not good at. So from your observations, what are the most important soft skills that international students lack? What from where? What are, like, if I ask like top three of them, do you think you have some names for that?
Communication skills, not all of them, but a lot of them. Confidence, man. Confidence.
Mm-hmm.
Confidence is a transferable skill. It's huge, right?
Mm-hmm.
And confidence is something that I see that they lack a lot, and it saddens me, man, because like these countries need us. They need our talent, and we are extremely talented when we come from another country, because we not only we come with education and with experience, but we come with lived experiences, living, being born and being and growing up in economies that are very, very volatile, where
Mm-hmm.
the contexts are very volatile, and with that we thrive. So imagine how the contribution that we can make in these countries that are already more stable, right?
Mm-hmm.
So confidence, communication skills, and the ability, the
Absolutely.
relationship building, maybe relationship building hyphen culturally fluent, culturally fluency, yeah, cultural fluency, sorry, cultural fluency.
Okay.
It's not only about being fluent in the language, it's also be about fluent in the culture and how it works. Again, Canada is a
Mm-hmm.
great place to be because you have the chance to interact with people from all walks of life and from all corners of the world, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
a huge advantage because it's easy for you to adapt somewhere else. Now, so those could be the top three that they lack and they have to work on. Yeah,
Yeah.
but the one that all students have, and they sometimes they don't realize, and they need to talk about when speaking about themselves in their careers, etc. Adaptation. And as I told
Mm-hmm.
you before, I think it's one of the two most important skills that people need to have right now to thrive in times of COVID. Why do you have already adaptation? Because you have left your comfort zone just by
Mm-hmm.
jumping on a plane and say bye bye mom, bye bye sister, bye mom, goodbye dad, right? By jumping on a plane, you already took a huge risk and
Mm-hmm.
you took a huge challenge. It's incredible. You're very strong already. You're strong AF, right? If
Mm-hmm.
you did that, yeah.
Yeah.
So you have to come here or to the United States, and then you have to adapt, yeah, to
Yeah.
another language, classes
Mm-hmm.
in a different language, people from all over the world,
Mm-hmm.
all this, all that. A winter, right? That is like long and cold, yeah. So you already have adapted to that. So that means that you can easily adapt to to any workplace environment because you already
Mm-hmm.
did that in your current reality, yeah. So
Absolutely.
adaptation is one thing that I think is one of the most important ones to have
Mm-hmm.
for international students, and that you all already have. So
Mm-hmm.
be aware of that and play it to your advantage. Do you want me to address the questions that I see in the chat?
Yeah. Yeah. If you
Yeah,
have,
absolutely.
if you can
That's a
see,
very good,
that's
good
fine.
question. Okay, so Trishita is asking, what is the best way to prepare for an interview if you do not possess good speaking skills? Thank you very much,
Yes.
Trishita, for your question. It's an incredible question. And again, is a challenge that you have identified that you have. Yeah, you, or if you are talking on behalf of someone else. I love this because you have identified this challenge. Let's talk about not the preparation first for the interview itself, but about the challenge. The challenge that you see for your interview is the speaking skills. Perfect. So what are you doing to overcome that challenge? Yeah, I would like to know, how long have you been here in Canada or the United States where you are? Yeah, and since upon arrival, what have you done to overcome your speaking abilities, to improve your speaking abilities, sorry, to overcome that challenge? So that's a question that you need to ask yourself. You have to assess what level you are and if that is becoming an obstacle for you to, progress in your career. And then you have to play with what you have. What is it that you have right now? Your institution. Yeah. So you're going to look for a conversation club at school. There are conversation clubs. You're going to go and talk to people at the tutoring learning center so that I can help you with your writing, so that I can help you maybe have conversations, etc. You're going to go talk to the guys at the career center to ask them to help you with your resume, to ask them to teach you industry language, to practice with them doing mock interviews, yeah, to speak. And you're going to talk to your professors. You have to challenge yourself. You have to do it. It's not that you're going to go to bed and, oh my, no, you have to, again, overcome your challenge, go step out of your comfort zone. The good thing is that you're here, you're new to a country, nobody knows you, you can do whatever, right? So go push yourself. So that, yeah. So is it? So what are you gonna do to improve that? Yeah. As you see that you're improving, your confidence, you're gonna have a boost in confidence. So the best way to prepare for an interview, if you do not possess good skills right now, is to find a way to improve your confidence. So what steps are you gonna be willing to take in order to overcome the challenge? Yeah, very important as well. So your professor, your coordinators, everyone try to talk. And most importantly, you want to make friends with local students. Yeah, you want to make friends with local students. I have a webinar tomorrow. My webinar is going to be how to stand out. Sorry, how to think outside the box to stand out in your industry. Sorry, on Monday I'm going to have this webinar. My guest speaker is a former international student from India. Yeah, he's a graduate of the culinary management program at George Brown College. So in the pandemic, he started to doing some projects on his own outside of work,
Mm-hmm.
right? And fascinating is that the challenge that I mentioned before that most students have, this guy didn't have that challenge. He was very confident, and his best friends were the Canadian friends.
Mm-hmm.
And for him, it's been very important without neglecting his culture, right? Like, of course, being always, aware of the culture, the roots, and having friends from the culture. But the ones that he hung out the most were people who helped them think differently and improve his communication abilities. Yeah. And now he's able to he has his own YouTube channel and all that stuff, right? So it's a great question, Trishita. So what are you gonna do, right? Also, I see someone here, Mohak, is asking about how about joining Toastmasters clubs for improving speaking skills. Yes, incredible, incredible initiative. You, for example, this is and again, there's no judgment. You're going to be in a safe space to try to get feedback to improve. That's what you need, right? It's beautiful because it's an initiative that you can take part of to improve your communication skills, because that's another skill that you need to have to be able to transfer communication skills, and that includes your speaking abilities, your writing abilities, and your listening abilities as well, right? So you, by involving yourself in these type of initiatives, you will enhance your communication skills, and you need them. It's very important for you to develop. That's why I love these two questions. Yeah, because
Yeah.
I encourage you, right, to really make use of the resources available. This is Vimal again, like we're talking about that our humanity and our emotions, etc. It's a very challenging time right now. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but on the other hand, we have we have more time. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because we are at home. Now again we will be only able to go for groceries. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I mean?
Yeah.
So what are you going to do with that time? Yeah, you can use that time exactly for that, to see what are the skills that you identify that you need to improve, and you
Mm-hmm.
improve and you do something about it. Yeah, and what are the skills that you want to strengthen, that you want to, because you're aware that you love to use them, and because they're going to help you shine the career path that you walk. So how can you strengthen those skills?
Yeah.
By taking a
And what,
course, by creating a project, by maybe
mm-hmm.
partnering with another school and create a business initiative, by volunteering somewhere, by doing a competition analysis of a company and see how things work, right?
Mm-hmm.
So many things. Yeah. So it's that is identifying the challenge and see how you wanna tackle that, right?
Yeah, on that note, I recall my early days because English is again not my first language, right?
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
guess everybody whose English is not a first language, they
Hmm.
had a certain degree of a struggle in their mm, certain phases of their own life at some career, and whosoever has overcame that, right, there are certain steps one may have followed. So there can be more than one ways, I believe. And
Yeah.
apart from what you said, I will just like to share a couple of things that we used to do when we were early from our college.
Hmm.
One thing was called mirror practice. I don't know how much it is relevant, but it's when you watch yourself while you're speaking in front of
Yeah.
a mirror. So
Beautiful.
you get your facial gestures
Yeah.
and body language right.
Yeah.
And the second thing was hear your own voice. Generally, we don't hear ourselves. We don't notice where we are making a mistake. Record yourself. You all have your cell phone with yourself.
Yes.
Record your voice for 10 minutes and hear it again. The
Yeah.
moment you will hear, you will start, oh my God, why am I speaking this way? I can definitely spell it right way. I've heard this speaking to my other friend. He's speaking is awesome. I
Yeah.
can also say that only I never knew that I sound
Yes.
not so right. So
Right.
I guess there can be small tools that one can use.
Absolutely.
And, and for what Mohak said is like for improving public speaking, start speaking publicly.
Yeah. Exactly.
Go to the public, forget about what people are thinking about it, because for a few months you may have
Yeah.
that struggle. After that
And
you
then,
will gain that confidence.
yeah.
So the two aspects which I personally feel, and since I was also in translationship, plus I had my own challenges
Mhm.
based on the languages. I feel that one which deals with your skills, and second which deals with your confidence.
Mhm.
Sometimes you develop the skill but you don't develop the confidence.
Yes.
So that's equally important to have the right confidence that yes, it's fine if you say something wrong. It's perfectly
Okay,
all right.
that's how you learn. You
Uh,
learn, you learn by making mistakes. Yeah.
yeah, correct one word every day, and like in 1 year you will have. I don't think if you have a vocab of like 400 words,
Yeah.
500 words, most of the time you will deal with it.
Yeah.
Those are the most common words, right?
Yeah, and also one thing, for example, for international students, because sometimes they worry too much about the accent. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's the
you have
thing.
an accent with email. I have an accent as well. It's fine.
Mm.
It's fascinating because right away people see that we speak another language, at least two, right?
Mhm,
We speak
mhm,
at
mhm,
least, so use it to your advantage. Don't be afraid of it. Now, you have to make sure that you are clearly understood. The exercise that you propose is brilliant because again, sometimes we just talk. I tend to talk very fast. I'm gonna
mhm,
if I see the recording of this, I'm gonna see something. Wow, I'm like flying here, man. Like should like
mhm.
tone down, turn it down a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Because in my language, I speak fast, and because I'm very passionate about my conversation, so I'm always like talking like that. So I have to
Mhm.
tone it down a little bit,
Yeah.
right? I've
Mhm,
learned that, for example, by exposing myself in the
mhm,
webinars. Every Monday, Vimal, I go for an hour and a half in front of an audience like this, and I talk with a guest speaker, like what we're doing right now.
mhm, mhm.
By
Absolutely.
exposing myself, now I see that hey, I need to speak a little bit slower
Yeah.
so that all my message is clearly understood. I still have my accent, but my
Mhm,
message is clearly understood. That's something that everybody should do. Look at yourself as well. Record yourself. You
mhm,
know,
mhm,
another thing, and you know what that when we were talking, before we talked today, I'm
mhm.
learning. I'm a language guy. I love languages. Right now, I am brushing up my French, and I'm learning Italian and German. So
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah.
it's beautiful. I love languages, and I studied them in the past. It's like brushing them off a little
Mhm,
bit. So I started watching a show called Dark in Netflix. I don't know if you have heard
mhm.
of it. Yeah, it's a German show. Yeah,
Okay.
first episode, right? Everybody has told me about it, and since it's in German, right? I thought, great. So I'm going to check it out and see how much I can understand. Let me see because I think I took a picture of this of a sentence that caught my attention. So the show starts, and the first thing that you see is a sentence in German, not even a conversation. I know I didn't save it. Okay, anyways. Okay, but I saw a sentence. So I
Mhm,
paused it. Yeah. And for someone who is, again, improving their English, you can do that as well. What
yeah.
sentence? A sentence. So I saw, okay, so what words do I understand about this sentence? Yeah,
Yeah.
what do you understand? And then I read them out loud slowly, slowly,
Mhm,
pronouncing all the words. And this is an exercise that I was doing with to myself and recording myself, like on a voice
mhm.
note, right? I'm doing
Okay.
it to see how it sounds, right? And then, okay, so what do I understand? What is the context of this? I know these words, but fully I don't understand the meaning. Then I found when I translated a word that one of the words were the word between, and that was before past,
Mhm.
present, and future. The word that I recognized between those three was future. Yeah.
Feature. Yeah.
The other two words I learned them years ago, but I forgot about them because I got rusty because I didn't practice German when I first started. Yeah, I knew them for before, but I didn't remember. If I had known the meaning of the word between, yeah,
Mhm,
I would have understood the entire context because I would have deducted that it was past, that word meant past, and that word meant present, and then future. and the other thing, it would have made sense. So I challenge you to do that. Yeah, take a text and look at a sentence, read it. What do you understand? How much do you understand of this? What do you understand? Highlight it, and then go look for the definition, for the meaning. Like learning a language is a process every day, no matter how long you have been learning or
Mhm.
studying a language. You always learn on a daily basis something. Yeah. Again, remember, communication skill is another skill that you need to develop and you need to transfer. We talk about soft skills, but you know what, I prefer to do more emphasis on transferable skills, because everybody needs to have a combination of both. Yeah.
Mhm.
On paper, for especially folks who are in the technological space or in the technical
Mhm.
space, your resume needs to be packed with keywords of hard skills. Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
That your resume. Yeah. But then when you have the conversation with the person, they are testing your soft skills.
Yeah.
So both are equally important. So and both you can transfer. All skills are transferable. Again, you
Mhm.
want to think about what are the skills that you love using, that you want to continue to use, and what are the skills that you maybe don't care too much about, and are not going to become an obstacle on you to progress in your career.
Okay.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah,
I think there's
we are getting pouring in questions from our audience,
okay, that's great.
and mhm. So one of the question which I can read here is from Jelio. I hope
Mm,
I'm pronouncing the name
wow.
right. Hi, David.
Yeah, yeah,
Immigrants and even international students tend to get abused at some
yeah.
workspaces, and it could be in the sense like you get overburdened with work compared to other
Mhm,
folks, your
mhm.
peers. Any tips on being not a workhorse?
Yeah,
Like people should treat you equally.
yeah.
International students many a times come as a little bit. They come with a little bit of insecurity. How do they manage that and be at par with their peers who are locally there, right? So yeah, how do you see this
So
question?
this is a really good question, Dialio. Thank you very much for asking. Because again, again, I'm looking at the language here. To get abused, if you're getting abused, you first of all, you cannot work in that place. If you
Yeah.
think that you're getting abused, you need to take actions of that. You need to try to have the conversation with the bully and see where they're coming from. Because usually, especially again, Vimal, I talk about adaptation. The second skill that every needs to have and transfer is empathy. We need to be very empathetic with the people that we are interacting with, because we don't know what is the story behind. We don't know, for example, if our manager is the first time in their lives, like homeschooling, doing all that stuff. They have their kids with them all the time, and they have to work, and the kids are screaming and everything. We don't know. We don't know if they have maybe lost a family member. We don't know what's going on with them, so we have to be empathetic. Yeah. So if you feel that you are getting different treatment, yeah, try to have a conversation with that person and see where that person is coming from first. The bully usually bullies from a side of insecurity, yeah.
Mm.
And that, but if that conversation leads to nowhere, and that person is what do you say, if you're compromising your integrity, you need to take action. You need to take it from people from HR. Like, you need to take action about that. And if you need to leave, you have to leave. But trying to you cannot, like, stand abuse, right? Also, there are entities here that protect you. See, if you're a student, there's always going to be legal services that you can access to, and they can give you legal service if you need anything. Now, if we take a look at the word here, abuse. Abuse is a very strong word, right? So if you feel abused, you have to take action. You cannot live in an environment where you're feeling abused.
Yeah.
You cannot accept being discriminated against, and you cannot accept that your integrity is compromised. Nobody has the right
Mhm.
to do that. Yeah. So you have to take action about that. Now, if you feel that you are giving more workload, again, because you are an immigrant or international student, you're being discriminated against. It shouldn't be the case. But that's why you want to have a conversation with the manager and tell them, okay, so you have given me this. What project should I prioritize? Because I'm currently working on this, and now you're giving me these sales. Tell me which one of those we should be prioritized, and if then we have to extend the deadline for the other one. Speak up for yourself. Ask questions. What is the reason that I'm getting all that much work? And see if this is the rationale, because maybe the manager hasn't thought, and you know what? Oh my God, like, I didn't realize that I was giving you so much work. Again, communication. Yeah.
Yeah.
How can you communicate your ideas and how you can negotiate? Negotiate is another skill that you can think about how to develop. We are negotiating stuff
Mhm.
on a daily basis as well, right? So
Yeah.
if you see that it's a lot of work and you're like, oh, let's have a conversation to see where I have to prioritize. But if you
Mhm.
feel that you're giving you horrible amounts of work because you are not uh, because you are an international student or a newcomer, you're being discriminated against, and you should not, and that shouldn't be tolerated at the workplace or anywhere.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We spoke, I mean, we have discussed a lot about this communication skill, including the speaking skill, how
Mhm.
to develop and what are the challenges we are having. I can see a question that's more about reading skills. Like, as part of the broader communication, as part of the broader soft skill, how much important it is for reading. I will quote the exact question that's there, though I got like,
Can you pull up the question?
question is,
Sorry?
yeah, the question is, hi David. I always work on improving my communication skill, but when it comes to reading a book for the same, it seems quite difficult to me. So
Mhm.
why is it so for some people that reading becomes more difficult than speaking and
Mm,
other communication skills?
yeah, interesting. What could be one of the option of the answers, because our attention span is shorter now, right?
Mhm,
Now we want, if it's a 10-minute video, oh my God, that's so long. Yeah,
mhm,
that's
mhm,
one. So we are getting used to that. So our attention span is shorter now, and also maybe because it's not. Maybe you are a learner that is more. By doing you learn more and stuff, right? Again, if you think it's a challenge, you need to take it little by little, right? Maybe start with reading about topics that interest you first, again,
mhm,
so you don't have to develop a skill or an ability. You don't have to always tie it up with work. Say, for example, you
yeah,
work in whatever field, but you like I don't know, that you like bears, right?
mhm, mhm,
Grizzly bears. So go read articles about grizzly bears, right?
mhm,
Short
mhm.
stories, this, that, right? Little by little, and then you can do the transition to do to go and do other types of reading. Yeah.
Yeah,
Also, or if you think, for example, that you could take advantage more, for example, for an audiobook, then do audio, right? but
absolutely.
but regardless of the case, you at least you need to have the ability to be able to read a report at work,
Yeah,
to be able to read a presentation, to be able to
yeah,
read an email with all the details. Yeah. So even if it's you need to have the skill, but if you want to take it to the next level, then you'll see if there's yeah. So you have to assess your own situation, right?
yeah, absolutely. And we can see one more question here. Maybe it's already on the screen.
Yeah.
Uh,
Can I read it?
mm, Yeah, so sometimes international folks have hard time negotiating for favorable outcome, may it
Mhm.
be work or at social life situation. So, how did they approach this kind of situation?
Very good question as well, and then again, it comes down to the confidence that you have to tell the person about your worth. So you need to
Mhm.
have self-worth first. You need to believe the value that you can add, and in order
Yeah,
for you to believe it, then you need to strengthen the skills that you have identified, that you need to identify, that you need to have in order to do a successful transition into the jobs that you are applying to, or into the new career that you're exploring, etc. So
yeah,
it turn it yeah, it's part of that. So when you have your self-worth, it's easier for you to negotiate. Now, again, you want to have a conversation with as many people as possible in the field, so that you have an understanding of what's fair.
mhm,
You're not going to ask them directly like, hey, how much do you make? But like, what are the ranges that people are getting here in entry level jobs or in this type of position, whatever your situation is, right? So that you have a good
mhm,
understanding, so that you at least are going to ask for something that lies within that range, that is
mhm,
paid in the industry. Yeah. So remember that an interview is a great opportunity, Vimal, because always people think about the employer perspective. Oh, what is the purpose of an interview? To find the right fit. But from a student perspective, or from the interviewee's perspective, is the same
yeah,
thing. Find the right fit.
mhm,
By having that conversation, you're going to find out a lot. if
Yeah.
that company is aligned with your vision or not. Yeah. So
Yeah.
a two-way street. Yeah. So negotiation. So by having an understanding of your worth,
Mhm.
understanding what's out there, right? So you can
Mhm.
negotiate what's fair for you.
Yeah. So, thanks, David. We have few more minutes left, and
Yeah,
let me
for
see if
sure.
we can pick some question. Uh, uh, All right. So I guess there are folks who are also suggesting flashcards and the relevance of that, space repetitive learning. There are certain tools. So apart from flashcards and stuff like that, like learning new words each day, do you have anything different, new, innovative to suggest when it comes to learning new language, new words, and new
Yeah.
phrases,
You
use
know
of
how?
metaphor? Yeah.
Music is great. So if you like music, music is great. So what you pick whatever genre you like, and you listen
Okay.
to song that that's how I when I was growing up back home, it was the CDs, right? And the CDs they usually had a booklet with the lyrics there, so that helped me a lot with my pronunciation, for example, and to learn new words because I would like read along while I was listening to a song, yeah, so that helped me. But as I was going along, then I could hear how do you pronounce this word, yeah.
Yeah.
So it helped me learn a lot, right? And then the lyrics, yeah, I didn't understand much at the time, yeah. Now when I learned properly, that, oh my god, like those lyrics, like where these or where that, right? Now you have Google Translate, yeah. So you have
Yes,
a look at the
absolutely.
lyrics, and whatever words you don't understand, you put them, right? By
Yeah.
watching movies, by challenging yourself. Like if you're gonna watch a movie, for example, if you are from Brazil and you are improving your English, yeah,
Mhm.
watch movies in English. Give the Brazilian movies on TV a pause and immerse in the language where you are. Immersion is the best tip that I can give you, Vima. Immersion, full immersion.
Mhm.
And then again, since we are not able to go outside to bars, to clubs, to anything, then we have to immerse in the language in different ways, through music,
Absolutely.
through videos, through movies. Try without subtitles at all and see how much you understand. And if you want
Mhm.
to go check it for a second time, then put the subtitles, but in English. Or if you're in France, in French. If you're in Germany, in German. If you're in
Yeah.
Brazil, in Portuguese. If you're in
Mhm.
Colombia, in Spanish. Yeah, but immerse. Yeah,
Mhm.
again, try to have informational interviews with people who are native speakers, and try to
Yeah.
make local friends. Very important because they can help you a lot to
Mhm.
communicate. You know what I mean? So that could be, I think, for someone, for example, who has a basic, which I'm not sure if it's the case here, that people have a very basic
Mhm.
watching cartoons is very good, right? The shows that the kids show, because it's a very tone language, it's easy to follow, etc. So that could be, get creative, like reading news, etc. Immerse. You need to immerse in the language.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That was really nice approach. And on that note, I remember one of my friend's kid. She's from like Indian origin, but she watches Peppa Pig and just have
Mm.
developed a British accent
Yeah.
very naturally. So it's just by watching the movie, catching
Yeah.
up with the words early. So it was just strange to us because the rest everybody has that Indian accent, and she's picking
It's
up that
hard
British
to,
accent.
mate. Hey, mate, how's
Yeah,
it going?
absolutely. I guess those involvement with music, with movies, with web
Yeah,
series, whatnot,
yeah, yeah,
reading
yeah,
books. Of course, there are not only one
yeah.
tool. I believe there are more than one. David, it was very insightful. I didn't
Thanks
realize
so
that
much.
we have spoken for like
I
50,
know.
55 minutes
Do we have more
within
time or
two
not?
seconds. Yeah.
Do we have more time, or we have to finish at 8 actually?
No, we will have to finish it. We have to get ready for
Okay.
the next session.
Okay. So
But
just
one thing is
I
for
want to leave
sure.
you with a last exercise. Yeah.
Yeah,
So for
sure.
everyone for everyone who's here. So the other day I had a webinar on how to write powerful resumes. Yeah. And then we had a question like about how, how to, that you shouldn't include your resume on LinkedIn, for example, in the feature section, because it could not be catered to a specific job, etc. Whatever. Sure, fair enough. I don't think you have to upload your full resume on LinkedIn. But I want to give you this exercise. Yeah. No matter what is the job that you want, no matter what is the career path that you have, I want you to
Mhm.
think about what are the top 5 things that you would
Mhm.
like the reader of your resume or the recruiter who checks your profile, yeah, to know about you. What are top 5 things? You have to be very strategic because want to make sure, do you want to show that those things relate to that industry, to that new career path, to that job? What are those two five things? It could be a skill. It could
Mhm.
be something from your experience. It
Yeah.
could be something from your personality. It could be languages that you speak. Yeah, it could be anything. So, what are the
Mhm.
top five things that you think that can help you stand out when
Mhm.
you apply to the industry of your interest? Yeah,
Yeah.
and be aware of those things and see how you will articulate those thoughts when you connect with an employer. So
Mhm.
it becomes to self awareness and how you have the ability to promote yourself. Remember that if you're a student, you're here to learn. Yeah, and employers understand that. Yeah,
Mhm.
so, but is how you're gonna take your learning to the next level. Do not get intimidated at job interviews, for example. You're talking. See it as a conversation. You're talking
Mhm.
with a human. You're building a connection. The worst thing that can happen is that you don't get that job. You don't get that job, but you have another person, a new person in your connections, in your network, that if you left a good impression and if you follow up after, they can say, you know what, you did impress us. The other person was only had this more. That's why we
Mhm.
we took them, but we have you in mind for other opportunities. So worst
Absolutely.
case scenario, you don't get the job, but you have a new connection. You
Mhm.
you get to reflect on what you can do better next time, and next time you will do better. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So when you get rejected, is how you take that rejection into evolve it into something for growth and
Yeah.
learning. So I want to leave for you with you to thinking about those five things. And I would love for you to connect with me if you need any other support to navigate these challenges of COVID, and if you need help with your job search strategies and to identify that clarity as well. I would be more than happy to help you out. And if you want to come to my webinars and become part of our community, of the global community that we've been building, it would be incredible if you build this out. I don't know if I can share my something here, or if you can provide them with my information, Vima.
Absolutely. Yeah, I would be posting your Orbit 5 website link plus your connects into the comment section of the YouTube video that would be released. So thank you so much, David. It was so insightful, and I believe in last 1 hour there has been numerous tips. I believe if somebody has to learn, we'll have to go through the video again and again so that they get all the content out of this conversation. And I will definitely love to have another session with you and talk more in detail. Probably we can have some activity based session.
Yeah.
So with on that note, David, I will say have a very good evening and have a rest of the day, whatever your plans are. And thank you so much for being our esteemed guest. I loved you to be here. Thank you so
Vimal,
much.
Vimal, anytime from the bottom of my heart, I want to tell you how much I appreciate you for giving me this opportunity. It was a pleasure having these conversations. Yeah, and think about the things that you do outside of work because you develop skill through your hobbies that you can always transfer into the things that you want to do in life. Simple.
Yeah.
Takes time, but it's simple. Just have the conversation with yourself. Thank you. And anytime that you need that I can give you a hand with anything, I'm here for you. Okay, my friend. Thank you so much.
All right.
Appreciate you.
Thank you so much. Take care. Bye.
Bye, Mal.
Bye. All right, folks. So the next session that we are going to have is very interesting. Like I'm not sure if you have been through all the agenda, but let me brief you what's going to happen now. Like, have you ever imagined that just by your brain electromagnetic waves, you can control few things? You may have seen this in magazine, you may have read this in some newspaper or watched in your TV advertisement, whatever. But the very idea of controlling something without touching, by thinking, by brain waves, is very engaging. Just imagine for somebody who has issues with their limbs, is paralyzed, if they can switch on or switch off a bulb, how easy it will become. Just try to think of the dependency they have when somebody who has limited feasibility with their limbs, how much struggle they have. Even for switching off the light, for pulling the door in or out, they have to depend on somebody. And now try to visualize something that by thinking or blinking or making some facial gestures, if you can control a brain, Generally, with your both hand, if you are a novice, controlling a drone is not so easy to keep it stable. Now, just by using your brain, if you can do it, how amazing it would look like. So that is what our next speakers and the next presenters are going to do. And the best part is our next speakers are very young millennial. They are the 17-year-old innovator, Jaden Vimani, who would present you a demo of controlling a drone with the brain and facial gestures. So can we have Jaden on the screen now? Thank you, Jaden. Thank you for being part of this session. For me, it is one of the most key exciting session that we are going to have, and I'm pretty sure this particular session will be watched on video for a very long time, and many people are going to get motivated. So yeah, over to you, Jaden. Introduce yourself, tell us more about you, and then we will go on the topic.
Yo, what's going on, guys? My name is Jaden, and today I'm here to basically just flex on Amazon's Prime Air division for an hour. So before I start off, I just want to give a massive thanks to the GDG community. I want to give a special thanks to Vimal and Ram and everybody who made this happen. Because, despite the fact that I kind of, ran an audience member into a wall last time I presented here, still, they brought me back. And I just want to give a special, very special thanks to our volunteer, Sunny, right here. Sunny, you want to come up? Okay. This man came over here on a Saturday night at 8 p.m. to help a guy he doesn't know to get a slightly better angle on his drone camera. Completely on his own. He's a volunteer. He's not getting paid for this. Okay, I can't do the chat right now, but if we could get some appreciation for him in chat, then again, that would be much appreciated. Okay, so regardless, welcome to how a mind control drone taught me how not to think about things before doing them. So just to give you some context, because this project actually has a bit of a story behind it. This all started back in July 2019 when my friend Luke approached me with the idea of creating a brain-controlled drone at a conference, a brain-controlled drone swarm at a conference. And the second that he hit my eardrums, like the second he said it, I was just like, I'll take your entire stock. Okay, that was a terrible impression. But why? Because why not? I mean, who wouldn't want that kind of thing hanging around? I mean, think about every evil genius you've seen in media, like Megamind, Lex Luthor, Dr. Robotnik, Jeff Bezos. I mean, the one thing that they all have in common is a fleet of nearly autonomous vehicles with very little physical command needed that are able to effortlessly enact their will. I mean, who wouldn't want to have that around? Well, in our case, it would be more 1 or 2 drones because we're mostly doing this independently and, capitalism, but still, don't tell me the idea isn't fascinating. So after Luke showed me around the lab that he was working at the time, I went back the next day to do a code sprint for the owner there. Now, just to sort of prove my mettle, prove that, I was fully capable of working on this kind of project. And as I was getting off the subway, I noticed a man in the corner of the station who was very subtly yet noticeably asking people to come over and help him out with something. And I was in a really good mood. I had a really good project lined up. I was going to be working with some incredible people, and I had some time on my hands. So I walked over and asked him what was wrong. And as I was walking over, the first thing I noticed was how he was hunched over something, but he wasn't. He was hunched over nothing that he was asking for people for help for. And as I got closer, as I got right up next to him, I felt a warm hand grab the back of my neck. And not just a regular grab where you pull your body aside, like forcefully grab. And I felt a sharp piece of metal press into my gut. And he pulled me really close and told me to give him all my money. At this point in my life, I'd been going downtown fairly regularly for about 3 years. And, I'd be lying if I said I hadn't fantasized about what would happen if this ever happened to me, because I know Toronto's not entirely peaches and cream. And to be honest, I always thought that I would break the norm. Most people would just, hand over their wallets, go home to their parents, cry about it, and go through months of therapy for it. And I always thought when it happened to me, that wasn't going to happen. I was going to be the person who talks back to him, calls his bluff, hell, maybe even takes the knife from him and just lays him out right there. This was my chance to prove the world that I could fight for myself. And God damn it, I wish I could tell you that that's what happened. Instead, I didn't fight back. I didn't even comply with him. All I did was stand there, paralyzed with fear, just still trying to wrap my head around the fact that this was actually happening to me. And now, eventually, after 30 seconds, felt like an hour, the transit enforcers of the TTC started getting a bit suspicious, and he eventually just screwed off. And needless to say, the rest of my day didn't go too well. I got to the lab, my mind wasn't on task, and when the project that I was working on during the code sprint eventually failed, the owner of the lab wasn't afraid to call me out on it, especially in front of everyone else who worked there. Now, at that point, I felt humiliated. I felt like I'd completely destroyed my reputation with this guy. So I went home, didn't follow up, and forgot about the project for the better part of a year. That is until about 3 months ago. It was the end of summer. I was just getting ready to go into grade 12 when I stumbled across an article from the University of Florida where they had not only managed to build a brain-controlled drone, but managed to build a brain-controlled drone swarm and hold a race with it. And in that moment, every single negative emotion that I pent up over the past year came rushing right back to me. The idea that that could have been me. I could have been the person who built that drone, but because I was either scared or humiliated or frankly just lazy, I missed my chance. And I let an entire year of my life go to waste where I could have been doing so many incredible things. And it was also in that moment that I made a vow to myself that that was never going to happen again. That I wasn't going to be sitting in that chair next year, seeing another article about a project I thought about doing, and just feeling sorry for myself. So I called up Luke. I called up Luke, and not even 24 hours later, we were in the Young Dundas Square food court, commandeering Wi-Fi from the local Harveys, and trying to get a decent prototype built out within the 3 days we had before he went off to college. Now, my initial approach to building it was very similar to what the University of Florida did. When you boil down to it, your brain can be seen as nothing but a series of electrical signals and chemicals that generate and transmit those electrical signals in certain patterns. Now, what most brain sensing headsets do now is that they're actually able to detect those electrical currents in your brain, the very tiny ones, and measure things like the voltage or sometimes even the amperage. So what they did is that using the various headsets that they had, they took the APIs and pulled that data and turned it into a sine wave. From there, they got the amplitude value of that sine wave and used that to control various things like the pitch, roll, and yaw on a drone, depending on which brainwave they were measuring at the moment. Sound confusing? Good. So the way they were communicating with the drone was through something called Mavlink. Now, Mavlink, for those of you who don't know, Mavlink is an industry standard communication protocol for drones, that essentially takes an XML file called a dialect that's generated by a C++ script or Swift script or whatever installation of Mavlink you're running. Takes that script, puts all that data into an XML file called a dialect, and sends it over to its drone either through a network connection or a standard telemetry set. Now, this sounds kind of complicated, but compared to the projects I had done previously, it was actually kind of simple. Now, this right here is a Parrot Bebop 2. Now, it's a pretty common consumer drone. It actually spawns its own Wi-Fi network upon starting up that you're able to control it with. But the best part about it is that it's actually compatible with Mavlink. So no extra installations needed, no tinkering with it. All you have to do is connect to it with a standard telemetry set, which is basically just like a radio kit on steroids. Get your brainwave data, put it at threshold so that when it's above or below a certain value, it sends a different command to the drone, then sends that using the compiled Mavlink C++ library. You got all that? Good. It's simple, it's efficient, and it's somewhat reliable. Okay, so you got all that? Good. Now throw it away. We don't need it. It's cringe. It's expensive as hell. But most importantly, like I said before, we were doing this in the 3 days we had before Luke went off to college. And in order for that same setup to work, we need each of these different components, the Muse, the ground station, and the drone, they all need to be within radio or Bluetooth range of one another. And obviously, when he's hundreds of miles away, that kind of thing isn't exactly going to work for us. So we not only had to figure out how to build a brain-controlled drone, but had to figure out how to build a brain-controlled drone that whenever both of our scripts are running, anywhere, anytime, any place, he would be able to control the drone with little to no latency. And that is where Firebase comes in. Now, I know what you're thinking. Oh, obviously you got to plug a Google product. This is a Google event. What a sellout. But okay, we did actually did have this implemented long before we were due to speak at this event. If you want to prove, just check out either of our respective YouTube channels. We have videos posted there like as early as August. So shut the hell up. All right, now what really attracted us to Firebase was its efficiency. So say you had one client pushing to a ref within Firebase and another constantly pulling it. The amount of time it would take for that data to get from the first client to the Firebase database to the second would be just as fast, if not faster, than if those clients were communicating directly with each other with no middleman. And the way it does this is kind of just by completely abandoning standard web communication protocols. With your standard database like MongoDB or SQL or anything else, what you have is a client that sends an HTTP request. And should that request be valid, the server sends a response back with a web page or a message or whatever it's programmed to do. Think of it like two friends trying to send mail to one another. One friend wants to ask another a question, and so they write down their message, they write their friend's address, they write their return address, put a stamp, sign, seal, delivers, it's yours. Then the friend gets the message, reads it, and should they actually understand it, they can write their response, write their address, write their return address, put their posting stamp on it, done. Now, this process actually does work, despite what some people in the world are trying to get you to believe right now. But the thing that kind of sucks about it is that, at least comparatively to other manners of transmitting data, it's kind of slow as hell. So Firebase actually bypasses that using something called a TCP socket. Now imagine instead of sending mail to one another, you and your friend are standing directly in front of each other. And at the beginning, you initiate a handshake, like obviously social distance handshake, but a handshake nonetheless. And as you're doing that handshake, you're subconsciously establishing that, okay, now I'm in the middle of talking to this person, and I can continue talking to them as long as I face this direction and speak this volume. So as long as my partner stays engaged, then we should be able to keep a steady conversation going. So going back to and that's exactly what servers and clients do. The server and the client initiate a handshake and choose a port on a mutual port on the devices of wish to communicate, and they can send vast amounts of data both ways. So going back to the whole conversation analogy, the client asks the server if it can join. Should the server respond yes, then the server sends an acknowledgement message back. Now, should the client agree to that, they send another acknowledgement message back, and the server chooses a port over which to run it. Now, this is usually done between 2 or fewer devices, but the amazing thing about Firebase does this with literally every single client that joins this network. So imagine you're running, say, a sports app, and you have 500 users, each trying to get the most up-to-date statistics on their favorite players. Now, rather than sending the device is sending an HTTP request to the database, that database sending a response back, and the user probably having to refresh their page, the Firebase the database would send that to a backend API. Now that backend API would go through the whole TCP handshake connection jig with every single one of those clients. So now all 500 people on connecting to that database, they all have a port on their device where they can get near real-time data and see their stats update almost instantly. Right, so going back to that whole friend analogy, say now you're not exactly trying to communicate with your friend. Say your friend is walking down the street blindfolded, but unbeknownst to them, there are a bunch of obstacles in the way. And the only way they can avoid those obstacles and not, die is by listening to the commands that you're barking at them from behind them. In that case scenario, you're not really worried about doing a handshake and making sure communication is mutual and that not a single word you say to them is lost. Because all you care about is getting them what they need to know as quick as they need to know. So if you yell left a bunch of times for them to turn left, even if they miss one of the lefts, and even if they don't really acknowledge that you're there for that 1 second, they're still going to be getting the rest and still know to make that direction. Now imagine that friend of yours isn't a person, they're a drone. And imagine you are a client. Well, that's exactly the process we want to follow for that. When you're flying a drone and the drone is about to crash into a wall, you're not concerning yourself with, what if it loses one packet, or what if it doesn't have a secure connection. You're concerned about, you're about to crash into this wall, maybe go the other way. And that is what UDP is. So if TCP can be seen as establishing a firm connection, picking a port, and then transmitting data across it, UDP can basically just be seen as picking a port, blasting data onto it, and seeing what sticks. Best way to describe it, think of TCP like waves. At the beginning of your journey, you have a firm connection to where you're going and how to get there. And even if you get sidetracked a bit, it's going to notify you of your sidetracking and still going to try and get you there on time. Now think of UDP like Apple Maps. You have a vague idea of where you're going. It's cheap, it's free, but in case you get sidetracked or you get lost off your route, or that route you think you're going to isn't where you want to go, then sucks to be you. Now, because the Muse developers are such incredible people, they have since decided for a while now to discontinue the developer API, meaning that we can't get that voltage sine wave from a Muse like we could before. Though seriously, Muse people, you're not watching this, but if you ever do, come on, what the hell, guys? But so instead of that, we have to figure out a way around it. And luckily, my partner Luke, he managed to figure a way to get all that data over Bluetooth, and not only get any data, get the data of facial expressions. So when you make a facial expression, let's say clenching your jaw, or closing your eyebrows really tight, or blinking, that is a result of brain signals being sent to your muscles and telling them to move. And what Luke's done is gotten those signals, which not only are something that anyone can do, but also are very consistent with how good the readings are. So our new system consists of the Muse sending the amplitude data of the voltage, amplitude of the sine wave of the voltage to a laptop. That laptop is in turn pushing that data to a specific ref within Firebase, which every 200 milliseconds is being pulled by my ground control station and thresholded. So if the amplitude value is above or below a certain amount, that is going to result in the drone getting a different command sent to it over Mavlink. So if it's less than 400, for example, that in our thing, i.e., if you're not really doing anything and your face is completely relaxed, that is going to result in the drone going backwards. Which, come to think of it, we actually have the drone facing away from me right now. So yeah, not the best idea in hindsight, but whatever. And of course, that is getting sent all over our UDP connection to the drone. Now, one thing we haven't gone over is how exactly it's reading the data from that Muse headband. Like, sure, we got the signals and it can transmit over Bluetooth to the laptop, but how is it actually reading those brain signals? Well, I would explain that to you, except I'm kind of just the weird drone guy in this. So to do that, I'm gonna pass the baton over to my good friend and much more knowledgeable of this side of the equation person, Mr. Luc Piet. I said I'm gonna pass the baton over to my friend, Mr. Piet. Okay, well, anyways. Hello? Okay, well, anyways, if we're not doing that, then, okay, enough of this boring workshop stuff. Who's ready to see a demo? There we go. Okay, so one hurdle we weren't exactly able to get around is how when my laptop connects to the drone, it's connecting to the drone's private network, meaning that I can't stay connected to this network. Fortunately, we do have our volunteer here, Sunny, who is able to live stream it on his phone at the same time. So, without further ado, so I'm just going to join off of this computer, and he is going to be giving an external point of view and also showing how really disorderly my garage is. Yeah, if you couldn't tell. Yeah. There you go. Now we're just waiting for him to do that. All right. So if we're not getting another person on this, then in that case, I'm gonna show an example of the data of streaming and also how that affects the drone flying. Because we have that data published in Firebase right now. I was just hoping that he didn't end it off while going back. Or in another case, we can, we do actually have a video of the drone fully working. So we're actually going to pull that up instead. Okay. So right now, just as an explanation, this is basically me getting the data from my phone. So what I did is, because obviously I can't be connected to two networks at once, I attached an external board, a Node MCU, that's connecting to my home Wi-Fi network and is constantly pulling from Firebase. Now that is being thresholded, as I said before. So when it's above something like, say, say 200, then the drone knows to use that to go left. And if it's lower than 40, i.e., if you're completely relaxed, then the drone knows to go backwards. It's all we wanted to build it in a way so that anyone could use this setup if invited, because not everyone knows how to trigger a specific brain signal, but everyone knows how to blink their eyes, clench their jaw, or or grind their teeth. So in this case, you ready, Sunny?
Yeah, just like.
Yeah, do it with the back camera. Okay, so for this, you're just going to, all right, there we go. All right, I'm going to disconnect from this device, and you're going to be seeing the drone from the external point of view. All right. Here we go. It requires a bit of setup. And there's a bit of setup. Not my fault. Okay. Stay. All right. So if you'd like to come over here, you can see that once we connect to the drone's Wi-Fi network, we're able to initialize that UDP connection to it. And if you want to show my screen a bit, this. You see, this is the data that's constant and that's currently in the fibrates graph. Since we're not getting the data directly from the headband, that's not exactly ideal. But this is where we last left off. Just to see a bit of an example. Okay, everyone ready? Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's jam. Yeah. Yeah, as you saw before, the data that was currently in the, if you were paying attention to that last the instruction that was last in the thing was back because it was under 40 and thus was constantly telling the drone to go back. So, okay, can I get an F in chat for that? So it is actually being controlled by the drone. It's just that the instructions that it currently has are not exactly ideal. Now, just for a bit more of a demo, I'm going to show you the capabilities of this drone. How efficient it can be when flown properly. So, you guys ready? Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's jam. So what this can do in the hands of a confident pilot. Now is the part where you start playing piano part 1. Okay. So now we just switch back over to my presentation tab. He is going to turn off that window. So you might want to turn the
All right, folks. So while we were watching it, I'm not sure if all of you got the context here, what was happening, but let me try to brief here.
Hey
So,
guys.
okay, Jaden. So I was trying to give them the context around what has all happened. Of course, they would have understand from your presentation. Uh, so uh, so one of the partner who was supposed to to control the drone for some reason could not join. However, uh, the same logic applies, like controlling a drone without touching it, without having this remote, is amazing. Now, how will it work? That has been explained by Jaden. I believe pretty much controlling a drone also needs a kind of practice. It could be if you are doing it by your brain, you have to train it. If you are doing it by gesture, that has to be trained, and there are distractions which may impact the possible outcome of your presentation. So
It also
they,
doesn't help. Yeah, it also didn't really help that the last instruction we sent it before we stopped our last trial was back.
how about the snake game, Jaden? Do you think that will work, and we can invite some volunteer to play that
Oh
game?
yeah,
Do you think?
sure.
Okay, so
So,
let's do that because we don't have one party at the moment, but I guess this could be interesting. That how somebody is sitting somewhere away, and we will do it live. We will post that game link to our audience on YouTube, and let somebody pick it
uh,
up.
yeah, though we should only share it with one person because only one person can control it at a time. So
Okay,
it'd be
so
ideal if we had if we could have one volunteer
mhm.
who could come up, and then we'll send that to you via private chat.
Okay, so let me check uh, on the chat if somebody would like to volunteer. Okay, let me go on YouTube. All right. Okay,
Any
we have
takers?
Rob Moorhouse coming in. So what I will do is, I'm
Yeah.
not sure if I can message him personally, but let me send the link. Can you paste the URL, Jaden?
Okay, yeah, I'm posting it in private chat. Okay.
All right.
And,
Yeah,
and
and
also, if you do happen upon the link, if you're in the audience and you don't, and you're not the person, just don't do that. Please just don't like go onto it, because that'll mess up the actual thing and make the demo a lot less enjoyable for everyone. So, you know.
all right. So before I post that, so for Rove, what's going to happen is we will send you a link. It is basically a plain snake game, that the old school snake game that you have to control with your arrow key, up, right, left, and bottom. The moment you will start playing that game, the drone will lift up. Ideally, it should, if the demo works fine, and it will hang on air till you bang on the wall. So I'm giving this link to you, and Rob, only you should use it. Okay, I
Yeah.
sent to you. I sent you,
Yeah.
Rob.
So if you're in the, let me go to the YouTube chat for a second.
Okay, so Rob, you can start playing, and Jaden, make sure
Yeah.
Sunny focuses
So Sunny,
on the camera.
if you could rejoin, that would be good. All right. Now, before we start, I just want to get you used to the controls because, again, I don't know if you've really noticed, but it's kind of prone to crashing a bit. So, Sunny, if you could come over here, please. And yes. So, exactly. So as you do different controls, notice that the data is constantly changing. So hold on, we could just go back for a second.
Okay, Rob, I just pasted the link on the chat.
Yes. So just if you could just let us, if you could just let us know when you've started playing, and then we'll sort of walk you through the controls and walk you through just what's going to happen once you play it. Okay. That's just Sunny over there. Chat box right down. So yeah, once you've started playing, just please let us know.
Okay, Rob, I gave you the link that is gddrone.herokuapp.com.
Okay, though if you're not Rob, then please don't go there. Okay, just okay. Like one wrong person going there could screw this whole thing up. So just don't be that person. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna put the link in public chat. There you go. You see that? Okay. So let us know when you've started playing, and then I'll walk you through. Nobody. Okay. Yeah, I just pasted the link in chat in private chat. And you know what? How do I?
Can you display it, Jaden? I'm not sure why they are not reading it.
Yeah.
Because I
So
posted it a couple of times. I can see all those in the chat,
yeah.
but I'm not sure why they can't see it.
So yeah.
So
So
maybe
the
you can
link.
display it.
Yeah. So the link is HTTP
Maybe
GD.
you can show on the screen.
Yeah. So I'll just share my screen. Be right here. Just go to this link right here, if you could, and just put it in the chat when you're there. Okay, this one. All right. No, look on my screen right now. And look at the link. Go to this link, and you will find a very nice surprise. well, not really surprised anymore, but
So, Jed, in the third screen, I guess we are not able to see the drone. So
yeah,
if it doesn't work,
not yet.
maybe you can, yeah. So
Yeah, he
we,
should. Yeah,
so
exactly.
maybe you can move your laptop camera towards the drone.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for her to start playing.
Okay.
Okay, so the name is GD Drone, GDD Heroku app, HEROKUAPP.com. All right, you got that? Okay, and if you need any more, then I'm screen sharing and it's on my screen right now. Right here. Now, Roach, let us know in the YouTube chat when you're connected. All right, Ro, you ready yet? There you go. I'm gonna stop sharing. Okay, so good. If you could just disable audio on that. Sunny, just turn off audio. Okay, so basically, so the rules here are pretty simple. So you have your standard WASD or arrow keys to move. That's arrow keys to move. Just you do whichever you like. Just please pick one and stick to one. So as you're doing that, your keystrokes are being logged by our system. And what's sorry? Yeah, and when you're doing that, your keystrokes are being logged by our system. And that is once again being translated into different numbers that are being sent to that same ref within Firebase that are sort of acting like the amplitude values for the brain signals. And the same thresholding applies. So if you press one key, that'll change the ref within Firebase to that value, which will be read by our system and translated into commands for the drone. So once we start our script right here, yeah, and so yeah, Sunny, if you come right here, yeah, if you look at our screenshot of our laptop, you can see that we're constantly getting forward, left, back, right, and forward. There's a little bit of a lag, but it's pretty minimal. And just like with the drone, that would translate into commands for the drone. Now, few things to note here. One, I am going to be manually controlling takeoff and land, but all the directional controls, just like the other one, all of that directional control is you. So as soon as I hit takeoff, then everything you're doing in that snake game, you're going to see the drone doing. But when I hit land, then the drone's going to land and everything's just going to go back to more normal. Yeah, you got it? Ro, just give me a little message in the YouTube chat if you got that. Hello?
There would be a little latency. Let's wait for him to respond. The stream will have few seconds of latency.
Okay, cool. So let me just start the drone. And when I and if you could maybe just like on purpose run into one of the walls, and then when I say, you hit play, and you're gonna see the drone doing everything you see that snake doing. Okay, so let me just set it up real quick. Oh yeah, I forgot. I already did that. Let's move you over here. Just emulate the starting position of the snake in the game. And let's get back to our station. Ro, you still there? Ro, you still there? Hello? Ro?
Jaden, we'll have to wait for the delay.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So when I hit so when I say go, then then I'm gonna make the drone take off, and then you hit play and do whatever you do. Fly the drone to your heart's content. Okay, so I'm gonna exit off of this device, and you're only gonna be able to see me through Sunny's thing. Okay. He's ready. I'm gonna take off right now. Okay. So, like I said, you're in control. Everything you see that snake doing, the drone is going to do. But I have to advise you, once it crashes, I'm going to have to manually land it, okay? Okay, ready? And take off. Ready? Play. Tell her to start playing.
Start playing.
Can you go back, please? Getting stuck up against the wall. Yeah. It got stuck against the wall. That's what happened. So I'm gonna move it more to the center, and then we're gonna go again. Okay. Just again, keep playing. Right. All right. Tell her to start going again.
Start playing again.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go. You see that? See that? Come on. What? What? Okay, maybe. All right, maybe a little bit. Well, you saw that, right? Y'all saw that. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. Screw you, Bezos. Nah, can your drones do that? Can your drones be controlled by a game of thing? Yeah. Didn't think so. All right. So if you could just sign off for that one, and I'll take back on this one.
All right. So, what we saw right now was basically we can control drones in many different ways. It's just a matter of triggering it uh, in the most feasible way, and there can be a number of use cases here. So, Jaden, any concluding notes based on
Yeah,
what we saw and where you want to take it forward? Probably you can just brief around that.
yeah.
I understand that right now it is in a mature stage, but still the concept, the very idea that it will work is very motivating. So maybe you can let us know what are your plans and where you want to take it forward.
Yeah. Well, moving forward, I'm actually planning on applying this to another contest I'm doing right now. I'm entered in the copter hack competition, where I'm actually designing a fully autonomous package delivery drone, a package delivery drone that can be controlled over Wi-Fi, and being able to stream data from anywhere. That's going to be playing a major part in it, because obviously once you're beyond visual line of sight, you don't know what's happening. And like some of the biggest challenges for drone pilots in general is just being able to keep your drones controlled and safe in a urban environment, because restrictions are not the FAA is not exactly on our side for this one.
Yeah. All right. So it was nice drone, though we definitely wanted to see the gesture control, and I'm not sure. I hope Luke is well, and we will check with him once we are able to connect with him for whatever reason. So tomorrow, again, when we have the another demonstration session, maybe we will try to connect with Luke. Is he able to join? I am very much hopeful that everything is fine with him. I definitely wanted to see the demonstration that we have seen previously, and everybody would have certainly enjoyed it. Little part which we couldn't make it because Luke couldn't join. I'm hoping that tomorrow, if we can connect, we can include him and we can do the session again. Plus the treasure one, right? You can brief a little bit about that project, and then we'll
Yeah.
demonstrate tomorrow.
I That's an interesting one. So when I was building this, leading up to this event especially, I found that, again, one of my biggest problems was that sometimes I just didn't have the drive to, get through an all-nighter, and sometimes I'd end up falling asleep and, I'd fall behind. So in order to fix that, I actually made a robot that uses your webcam and tracks your eyes. It makes it so that when you close them, or when you dip out of frame, if you fall asleep in your chair or on your desk, then it'll activate a relay, which will activate a taser, which will indubitably wake you up. I'm sorry, I don't English good. If there's anything
No,
you guys have learned from this presentation, it should be that.
mhm. That's fine, Jaden. I guess we all get the context here. And as to the refinement of any project that we work, that's an ongoing process. So keep refining your projects. That's pretty much good. And yeah, thank you so much for joining. And the next segment that we're going to have is a coding competition. So Jaden, we really wish you a very good evening. Hope you have your nice rest of the day. And tomorrow we will again have a small demonstration in that slot, and we'll try to see more projects that you're working on. What I basically would like to say is there are a number of efforts included before we reach to a point where we want to reach. So certain thing that works, certain thing that doesn't work should not necessarily stop the thought process, the very idea, the very confident idea that yes, something is doable, something is achievable. It is a constant process. So as long as I guess you try to keep refining the thoughts that you have, keep working on it. I'm pretty sure that the very idea that we are thinking, we would be showing it in a much better way. I'm pretty much amazed to see your other sessions as well. We'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Well,
much,
yeah.
Jaden.
Well, before I go, I just want to give a massive thanks to everyone involved again. Thanks to you. Thanks to all of GDG. Thanks to Sunny, and thanks to Sunny for helping me out. Thanks to Ro for trying it out. I hope you had fun. Despite the fact that there have been a couple of other people who've done this before, a lot of ground control software is able to control drones over Wi-Fi. This is still something that really needs to be refined, and I'm really optimistic about where this is going moving forward.
Absolutely. And I guess one thing that I realized is that particularly when Ro was trying to play it, the latency, like the delay between while we are speaking and while it is being streamed on YouTube, that is also creating a communication gap. So probably tomorrow in the next innovation session, we may try to onboard the volunteers, whosoever will volunteer on the StreamYard, so that we don't have that latency, so that we can get the actual feel of controlling it in the real time. So right now what is happening is when somebody is volunteering and when they are trying to control the drone through the game, they see the videos a while later, so they will not feel that they are actually controlling it. They can't see the movement in the real time. So I guess tomorrow we will sort it out for sure. We will invite them on our this panel from where we are streaming, and then we can go ahead.
Okay.
Before we leave, Jaden, out of all the projects that I'm aware of, and most of them are really, I feel there is a good use case. And yeah, of course, the refining of that project in terms of efficiency will always keep on happening. But do you have something new in mind? I mean, something really crazy?
Really crazy? Oh, well, I did have my face hunting security drone, but that's been done slightly before in a different way. Most would just alert someone. Mine would actually like fly into your face and deter any would-be invaders. But yeah, one thing I also did want to get onto is, as previously mentioned, this started out as the idea for a brain-controlled drone swarm, but like I said before, Luke and I are both young, dumb, broke high school kids, so we couldn't exactly accomplish that. But should this actually take off a bit more? Should we get a few more resources, like being able to control an entire swarm? Because get thresholding signals from your brain from one brainwave is one thing, but doing it from multiple ones and like being able to control an entire swarm in an effective way, that would actually be a really cool challenge and like a pretty logical next step on where to take this.
Yes, and that on that note, since I have personally witnessed this particular project working, like I'm still equally excited and very optimistic that this could be very interesting thing to demonstrate and very thought provoking. And I just said, like when we talk about drones, it's not only about the technology; it's also about training the brain. When we think about anything brain control, we have to train our brain to do a certain thing in a certain way. So that's another challenge and another exercise. So it was really very nice having you here, Jaden. We'd like to leave you with all the good wishes with all the projects you're working in. And
Glad to be
yeah, I'm
here.
looking forward to see you tomorrow again in the session. And we will talk about some crazy stuff, some cool stuff. So yeah, see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Take care and have a good
Bye.
night. Thank
You as
you.
well.
So the folks, in few minutes we will have our next session. That is a coding competition. If any of you who are live right now have actually registered for the coding competition, or even if you have not done, if you are interested, you can join us at 9 p.m. Yeah, at this point, maybe we can share some of our upcoming event promo videos, and within 5 minutes we will connect again, and we will see you there. Thank you so much for joining this session. I would love to see you all in the next coding session as well. And after that, we bind off for the day, and we will connect again tomorrow with our new set of event that is published on the Eventbrite.
Mental illness is a huge problem, and we can really make huge strides in solving it by using artificial intelligence technology. But without the kind of data sharing that's necessary for machine learning to work, it simply won't be possible to solve this problem. I understand that people value their privacy, and of course so do I. But without data, machine learning technology simply is useless. It cannot be trained without the right kinds of data sets. Imagine how many other problems we couldn't have solved if it weren't for us sharing data for machine learning to be implemented.
Hello. So welcome. This is Devfest, the coding challenge. I am waiting if I could share my screen. Thank you. So I'll just get started. And welcome again. So to introduce myself, my name is Chloe. I am the DSC University of Toronto St. George campus lead. And if Ray can come on as well and introduce herself. You're mute, Ray.
Always happens, always happens. Hi, my name is Rana Azar. I'm DSC's team lead at the University of Toronto, Mississauga. I'm a fourth-year student studying computer science and interactive media, and I'm really excited to host this event for you guys.
Yeah, so let me continue. So what is the Developer Student Club? Well, we're student groups aimed at bridging the gap between theory and practice. So we all do this through empowering students through technology, and this is done through workshops, events, and projects. We are going to add the link below in the chat so that you can check out all the different chapters that are global. So today, here's a schedule. We're basically just going to introduce Quick Labs again, introduce the challenge, kind of the rules and requirements, submission info, and overall contact info. And for the tools that you're going to be using today is Discord, the Quick Labs website, and the Google Cloud platform. I will remind you that in case if you run into any issues as we're going through our intros and also what is being covered, feel free to join our Discord. It's been shown a lot throughout the whole day, but we're going to add the link again in chat. So let's start off by introducing one of the tools you'll be using, which is the Google Cloud Platform. So cloud computing can be a very confusing term, but at the most basic level, it means that we're getting things done using someone else's quote-unquote computer. The Google Cloud Platform allows us to use Google's computing infrastructure to help us run our applications. So you may be wondering, what is the Google Cloud Platform? Well, it allows you to build and host your applications and websites. All this on Google's scalable computing infrastructure. So I guess it's a fun game. Does anyone know where this photo was taken? Feel free to say it in the chat. I'll give a couple seconds. So this is one of Google's many data centers, which houses computing, storage, and networking resources that power Google's own products and services. This specific data center is in Council Bluffs, Iowa. So in recent years, Google has applied its massive computing scale to something called cloud computing, and this allows you to share resources with developers who want to build and run applications on Google's computing infrastructure. When you're using Google Cloud Platform, you're basically just using one of these slices of data centers to help power your application. So essentially, the Google Cloud Platform is a suite of developer products that help us build amazing apps using Google's computing power. They use the same technology that powers Google's own products like Search, Gmail, and Google Translate. Here's just a sample of Google Cloud's products, but there's dozens and dozens of them, and our products are broken into categories like compute, big data, machine learning, and storage and databases. So now that you know a little more about the Google Cloud Platform, let's talk about today's quest, which is where you'll be using GCP. Today, you'll have the chance to learn more about natural language processing, or NLP for short. And this is an introductory quest, which means that even if you haven't worked in machine learning before, this is the perfect way to get started. As well, you'll get to learn more about some APIs, including the speech-to-text API on the Google Cloud Platform. As a plus, after completing the quest, you'll have the chance to receive a free badge. And this is a badge that can be easily displayed in your resumes or profiles, and that there is multiple that you'll be able to collect through different quests on Quick Labs. So in the quest, there are 6 labs that explore multiple APIs on GCP. This includes the cloud speech, natural language, and speech to text. And this will all make sense later when we start to talk about the coding challenge. So in order to gain free access to this Quick Lab quest, you must complete the implementing DevOps in Google Cloud Quest provided earlier. After completing this quest, you'll get an extra 30 days to access all of the different quests on Quick Labs. So this is what you'd use to get access to the Intro to Machine Learning quest. For the next couple slides, I'll be showing you how to get signed on to the DevOps quest for free, so you can get started, and then afterwards, you'll be able to continue learning into ML. If you already set up your free Quick Labs account, feel free to get started on the Intro to Machine Learning Language Processing quest for the next couple slides. So let's get started with setting up your Quick Labs account for this quest. So for these next couple slides, I recommend you to split your screen, the live stream, and the extra tab following along the workshop, specifically with an incognito tab. So as you're following along setting up your account on Quick Labs, you can easily access any important links or info we share on our slides. Again, I will remind you, if you're running into any issues while setting up, please contact us on Discord. The link will be sent into chat again. Feel free to have the Discord minimized while following along, and if you run into issues, just quickly open it up, join a voice or text channel to sort that issue out. And please please share your screen when you're joining voice channels, just because it would help immensely when trying to sort any problems that you run into. So to start, open up an incognito tab, go to our Study Jam workshop link, and press enroll under the Implement DevOps in Google Cloud. As shown, it's one of the last quests in the first category of quests. And from here, you'll be redirected and prompted to enter an access code. Do not click off of this pop-up. The access code will actually be shared shortly. I'll give a couple seconds in case of delay. Right, step 2. Now enter the following access code to get access to the Implement DevOps Quick Lab quest. And make sure to complete the CAPTCHA. So the code is 1S-Toronto-1233. And the quest will be also added into the chat. Okay, step 3. Next, click Join to enroll. And it's the blue button on the far right. Give a couple seconds as well to find that. So now you'll be redirected into this page where you will create an account for Quick Labs. You can either enter in a custom email address or simply sign up using your Gmail. If you're using a custom email address, feel free to enter your school or your company if you are a student. Couple seconds. And if you signed up using a different email address, I will remind you, make sure to go into your email and verify it. Just simply click the link sent to your email and it will allow you to sign in. So by now you should be able to be logged in and have the Implement DevOps in Google Cloud page open. If you don't, just search it up at the search bar at the top and you should be able to find the quest there. Or we'll add the link as well in the chat of the actual quest. So finally, you can click the Enroll this quest button on the right and you should be enrolled in the lab. And now that you are enrolled, you can start to complete the lab on your own. So please note that you must spend at least 5 minutes on the first lab listed so that the credits do work and that the quest is properly enrolled in. Again, if you're running into any problems, please refer back to our Discord server and reach out to us through there. So while going through the labs, make sure to not go beyond what the lab asks. While using Quick Labs, you will get temporary counts and the virtual machines, and they are all monitored by Quick Labs. So if you deviate from what the assigned task and do things like accessing resources outside of the scope of your lab, your account could get blocked. So ensure you read properly what the task is asking and ask for any help whenever you run into an issue. So now you're set up with the quest and continue completing in order to get free access to all of Quick Labs. And using that, you can access the Intro to Machine Learning Languages Processing quest for free and any other quests as well that you wish to learn more about. So we'll add the link again in chat of the Intro to Machine Learning quest. So after completing this machine learning quest, it will help give you the fundamental terminology around machine learning, which will be extremely helpful when you're trying to complete the coding challenge, which Brianna will actually talk about next.
Hi. Okay, so let's talk about the coding challenge. Wait, okay. Let's talk about, oops, sorry. Wait, Chloe, am I supposed to change the slides or are you? Okay. Okay, so let's talk about the coding challenge. This year's theme for the coding challenge is machine learning. Machine learning, being a subset of artificial intelligence, provides systems the ability to automatically learn and improve from experience through the access and processing of data. For the next few hours and the rest of the day, you'll be given the chance to work on a coding challenge. The goal of the challenge is to allow you to apply everything you've learned during the Quick Lab quest, combined with your previous knowledge of machine learning to create a solution to a fun, but hopefully challenging problem. One thing to note is that you need to register for the coding challenge for your solution to be valid and considered. Once you've done the coding challenge, we'll kindly ask you to submit your work for a chance of winning a prize. Okay, so the overall theme for the coding challenge is going to be movies. Now, we're aware that some of you may have more experience in machine learning than others. Therefore, we've created 3 levels for the challenge. The first challenge is for participants with no or minimum experience with machine learning, while the second level is for those who have fundamental knowledge of machine learning and a bit of practical experience. Lastly, the third level is for those of you who have advanced knowledge of machine learning. Okay, now that these details have been covered, let's talk about the coding challenge. So the first level challenge is going to be a prediction problem, but also a supervised learning problem. So for this challenge, imagine that you are part of a classroom and would like to predict whether or not the rest of your peers would like to watch a certain movie. So the task for this challenge would be to create a machine learning model that would predict whether or not your class would be okay to watch a specific movie. So for this specific challenge, your machine learning model will be tasked to do a binary classification. Now, moving on to the second level challenge, this is a supervised learning problem, but also a prediction problem. But unlike the first level challenge, this one is going to be a multi-class classification. So for the second level challenge, you're working on building a streaming platform, and you've received a complete new set of movies that you like to classify into genres. Your task for this would be to create a machine learning model that would predict a movie's genre. Lastly, the third level, which is a bit different than the first level and the second level, just because this one is a clustering problem and also would be an unsupervised learning problem. So for this one, you're working on building a streaming platform, and you've received a complete new set of movies that you'd like to classify into different groups. Here, you'll need to create a machine learning model that would cluster the movies into different categories. So one thing to note here is that it doesn't necessarily have to be into genres. This is a clustering problem. Your only input is a set of data that is not labeled. You should not have any previous knowledge as to what your output is going to be. Okay, so let's discuss some rules. One thing to note, which is very important to note, is that the challenge ends tomorrow at 12 p.m. EST time. So just keep that in mind. One more thing, in terms of teams, we do encourage you guys to work in teams as long as your members do not exceed 3 people. So you can work in teams as long as you're 3 or less. Okay, this is the really important part. So your code must be your own work. This is a coding challenge. So you should challenge yourself and think outside the box. If you're just going to copy off someone else's work, that sort of defeats the purpose of the coding challenge. So my advice to you is to search things up, learn some things, and think outside the box, and I promise you, you'll be proud of yourselves. One more thing, when you submit your code, you're only allowed to submit to 1 level. Okay, so for submissions, you'll be submitting 2 things. The first one is a 1-minute video showcasing your solution, and the second one is a link to any repository you stored your code in. One more thing to mention is that only 1 person per team will need to submit the solution. Okay, so we of course have prizes for the winners of each level, and the prizes would vary depending on which level you've participated in. For people working in teams, each member of the team will be receiving a prize as well. At any point in time, if you have any questions concerning the coding challenge, we suggest you to join our Discord server and ask your questions in the Devfest Coding Challenge channel. And for the next 2 hours, we'll be helping anyone on the technical support voice channel. Okay, so in case you weren't able to retain all of that information, don't worry, we've got you covered. We've created a document outlining everything concerning the coding challenge, including a few resources. So over there, you'll be able to have the description of the different levels, the description of the coding challenge, each 3 of the 3 levels, and some added resources that we think might be helpful for you guys. Okay, this is really important. Please, 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 just make sure you do submit your solution before 12 p.m. tomorrow, just because any submissions after that deadline will not be considered. All right, that's all we had for this presentation. We strongly encourage you to join our Discord server, and best of luck.
I'm very quickly going to walk everybody through the Discord server. Once you get into the server, you're going to get the welcome message. Those who are familiar with Discord, this is no brainer. And then you got to go through the rules. Then you agree to the rules at the bottom by clicking this check mark and reacting to it. Then all the other channels will be unlocked. Now, the one channel that Rihanna and Chloe was talking about is this one. So Devfest Coding Challenge. Now, you'll be able to start your discussion. Where did it go? 1 second. Yes. You'll be able to start your discussion here. And then you'll see some tutors on the right. So you see Kelsey's listed as a moderator, and then you'll have a few others there joining in. If you want to ask any questions and ping them, and everybody else will be able to join the conversation. Now, if you want one-on-one help, jump on this here. And then tag somebody. They'll be able to come and help you and answer any questions there. And then on stage, if you want to do some presentation and practice and things like that, you're welcome to do that as there. So yeah, so that's all we got from Discord side. Make sure to agree to the rules and be courteous to the rest of the hackers and the community members. This is a group that's growing tremendously, and special thank you to Rihanna and Chloe for putting this together. Any last minute tips you want to share? Okay, you want to give them a hint as to what they're going to win?
Some cool swag. Just know that it's really useful. I don't know. I can't give too much. I don't want to give too much.
Okay, that being said, I think we're going to wrap things up. Good luck with your coding challenge. All the links are there. Ping Ariana or Chloe if you have any other questions.
Mental illness is a huge problem, and we can really make huge strides in solving it by using artificial intelligence technology. But without the kind of data sharing that's necessary for machine learning to work, it simply won't be possible to solve this problem. I understand that people value their privacy, and of course so do I. But without data, machine learning technology simply is useless. It cannot be trained without the right kinds of data sets. Imagine how many other problems we couldn't have solved if it weren't for us sharing data for machine learning to be implemented.
that is the vision that we need to understand.
Nationalities and cultures and people here, and to me it's a safe place, especially when we're thinking about technology.